Today's story is about Maria Montessori, a remarkable woman who changed the way millions of children learn around the world. She became one of Italy's first female doctors, overcame discrimination, and created an educational method that is still used in thousands of schools today. Her revolutionary ideas proved that children learn best when they are free to explore, discover, and think for themselves. As you listen to this story, you will improve your English while discovering the life of one of history's most influential educators. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and support my work on Ko-fi. The link is in the description below. Now, let's begin the story. Maria Tecla Artemisia Montessori was born on August 31, 1870, in the small town of Chiaravale, Italy. She grew up in a time when society expected women to become wives and mothers. Very few women received higher education, and even fewer pursued professional careers. From an early age, however, Maria was different. She was curious, intelligent, and determined to make her own path. Her parents encouraged her education, although they sometimes worried about the difficult choices she wanted to make. As a young girl, Maria enjoyed mathematics and science more than traditional subjects. She dreamed of becoming an engineer. Later, she changed her mind and decided to study medicine. This decision shocked many people. At the time, women were rarely accepted into medical schools. Many professors believed that medicine was not a suitable profession for women. Maria refused to give up. After years of determination and hard work, she was admitted to the University of Rome. It was an extraordinary achievement. Medical school was far from easy. Many of her classmates did not welcome her. Some professors openly doubted her abilities simply because she was a woman. In anatomy classes, she often had to study alone. At that time, it was considered inappropriate for male and female students to examine human bodies together. So Maria worked late into the evening after everyone else had gone home. She spent countless hours studying, reading, and practicing. Instead of allowing discrimination to discourage her, it made her even more determined to succeed. In 1896, Maria Montessori graduated with a medical degree. She became one of the first female physicians in Italy. Newspapers across the country wrote about her remarkable achievement. She quickly became a symbol of intelligence, courage, and perseverance. As a doctor, Maria began working with children who had physical and intellectual disabilities. Many people believed these children were incapable of learning. They were often ignored or placed in institutions where little effort was made to educate them. Maria saw something very different. She believed the problem was not the children. The problem was the way they were being taught. She carefully observed them every day. She noticed that children were naturally curious. They wanted to touch objects, solve problems, and learn through experience. Instead of forcing children to memorize information, Maria encouraged them to explore their environment. She began creating simple educational materials that children could hold, move, sort, and examine with their own hands. The results surprised everyone. Many of the children made remarkable progress. Some even performed as well as children attending ordinary schools. Maria realized she had discovered something important. Perhaps every child, not only those with learning difficulties, could benefit from this new approach. In 1907, Maria Montessori was given an unusual opportunity. A group of apartment buildings had recently been constructed in one of the poorest neighborhoods of Rome. Many young children were left alone during the day while their parents worked. The building owners wanted someone to supervise the children and prevent them from damaging the property. Maria accepted the challenge. She believed it could become an experiment. On January 6, 1907, she opened her first school. She called it Casa dei Bambini, which means children's house. The classroom looked very different from traditional schools. There were no rows of desks. There was no strict discipline. There were no long lectures. Instead, the room was filled with simple wooden learning materials designed especially for children. The furniture was small enough for children to move by themselves. Books and activities were placed on low shelves so every child could choose what interested them. Maria believed that the classroom should belong to the children, not the teacher. Instead of telling children exactly what to do every minute, Maria carefully observed them. She noticed something remarkable. When children were free to choose meaningful activities, they became deeply focused. They worked quietly. They repeated tasks again and again until they mastered them. They were not forced to learn. They wanted to learn. This surprised many teachers of the time. People had believed that children needed constant discipline to behave properly. Maria discovered that children often became more disciplined when they were given responsibility and respect. One of Maria's most important ideas was that children learn through their senses. Instead of memorizing facts from books, they should touch, build, sort, measure, and explore. She created educational materials that allowed children to discover answers on their own. If they made a mistake, many of the materials helped them recognize and correct it without a teacher's intervention. This built confidence and independence. Maria wanted children to become active learners rather than passive listeners. She also believed that every child develops at a different pace. Some children learn to read very early. Others become interested in mathematics first. Some need more time. Maria argued that comparing children to one another was unfair. Instead, each child should be encouraged to develop according to their own abilities and interests. Today, this idea seems natural. At the beginning of the 20th century, however, it was revolutionary. Visitors soon began arriving from all over Italy. Teachers, doctors, politicians, and journalists wanted to see the unusual classroom for themselves. They were amazed. Children as young as 3 and 4 years old were reading, writing, solving mathematical problems, cleaning their classroom, watering plants, and helping one another. The children appeared calm, confident, and happy. News of Maria's work spread quickly across Europe. People realized that something extraordinary was happening inside the little children's house. In 1909, Maria published her first book explaining her educational philosophy. The book attracted international attention. Within a few years, educators from many different countries traveled to Italy to study her methods. New Montessori schools began opening across Europe, North America, South America, and Asia. What had started as a small experiment in one poor neighborhood was becoming a worldwide educational movement. Maria Montessori had changed the conversation about childhood forever. As Montessori schools continued to open around the world, Maria became one of the most respected educators of her time. She traveled across Europe, North America, India, and many other countries, giving lectures and training teachers. Thousands of people came to hear her speak. They wanted to understand why her method was producing such remarkable results. Maria explained that education should not simply prepare children for exams. It should prepare them for life. She believed that children naturally wanted to learn. The role of the teacher was not to fill their minds with information, but to guide them as they explored the world. This idea was radically different from the traditional classroom. One of the key principles of the Montessori method was independence. Maria often encouraged teachers to say, "Help me do it by myself." Although she did not invent this exact phrase, it perfectly expressed her philosophy. She believed that every small success gave children confidence. When a child learned to tie their own shoes, pour a glass of water, or solve a puzzle without help, they became more independent and responsible. These everyday activities were just as important as reading and mathematics. Maria also believed that mistakes were an essential part of learning. Instead of punishing children for making errors, she encouraged teachers to let children discover their own mistakes. She believed that learning should never be driven by fear. Children learn best when they feel safe, respected, and motivated. Today, many modern classrooms use this philosophy, but more than 100 years ago, these ideas were revolutionary. As her reputation grew, Montessori schools appeared on almost every continent. Parents were amazed by how confident and enthusiastic their children became. Many children who struggled in traditional schools flourished in Montessori classrooms. The method was especially effective because it respected each child's unique personality and pace of learning. Instead of expecting every child to develop in exactly the same way, Maria recognized that every child was different. However, not everyone agreed with her ideas. Some educators believed children needed stricter discipline and more direct instruction. Political leaders in several countries also wanted schools to teach obedience rather than independent thinking. One of Maria's strongest opponents was the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. At first, Mussolini supported Montessori schools. Later, he demanded that they become tools of the fascist government. Maria refused. She believed education should always promote peace, freedom, and respect, not political propaganda. As a result, many Montessori schools in Italy were closed. Rather than compromise her principles, Maria chose to leave her country. During World War II, Maria was living in India. Because Italy had become an enemy nation under British rule, she and her son Mario were temporarily restricted by the British authorities. Although this was a difficult period, Maria continued teaching and training educators throughout India. In fact, many of her ideas about peace education became even stronger during these years. She believed that if children learned kindness, cooperation, and respect from an early age, future wars might be prevented. Education, she said, was one of the most powerful tools for creating a peaceful world. After the war, Maria returned to Europe and continued working almost until the end of her life. She never stopped writing, traveling, and inspiring teachers. Even in her 80s, she remained passionate about improving education. She believed that every child deserved the opportunity to develop their full potential. Her energy and dedication amazed everyone who met her. In 1952, Maria Montessori passed away in the Netherlands at the age of 81. But her work did not end with her life. Instead, it continued to grow. Today, there are thousands of Montessori schools in more than 100 countries around the world. Millions of children have learned using the Montessori method. Her influence can also be seen in many traditional schools, where teachers increasingly encourage creativity, independence, and hands-on learning. Maria Montessori changed far more than classrooms. She changed the way people think about childhood itself. She taught the world that children are naturally curious, capable, and eager to learn. Instead of treating them as empty minds waiting to be filled, she encouraged adults to respect them as unique individuals with enormous potential. Her ideas continue to inspire parents, teachers, and students more than a century after the first children's house opened its doors. Today, Maria Montessori is remembered as one of the greatest educators in history. Her legacy lives on every time a child discovers something through curiosity, confidence, and independent learning. She proved that changing the way we teach children can change the future of the world. If you enjoyed learning English through this true story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you would like to support my work, you can buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. You can find the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next story.